Good morning, coin collectors, numismatists, hobbyists, enthusiasts, coin collectors, stackers, and friends. I'm here to do another video for the first time in over a month. It's a cold, rainy day up here in the Northeast, and I figured it's a great time to come together and share a few thoughts. I hope all is going well in your world. The purpose of this video basically is just to follow up on my last video where I had commented on basically grading, Morgan dollar grading more specifically. I had mentioned how I had a lot of success in the last 4 or 5 submissions. Basically 36 out of 38 coins came back problem-free, straight graded if you will. And that's a case of understanding what to look for and understanding how the grading services work. I believe in, rather than whining and complaining about them, it's better to understand what they're doing. Why they're doing it is a different question, but how they operate, what they look for, and again, what they're doing is trying to protect the buyer, right? So they're always going to err on the side of being conservative. If it's a liner 63, 64, it's going to be a 63. If it might be cleaned or might not be cleaned, it will be cleaned because, again, we're protecting the buyer. And once their grading gets lax or starts to be called into significant question, and I say significant because it's always called into question, right? It's subjective, so it's forever going to be critiqued and criticized. People will disagree, but one thing you'll take note of, most of the time the disagreements are, I can't believe that coin came back only a 63, I think it's a 65, or I can't believe they called that cleaned. It's not very often that we hear people say, I can't believe that came back a 65, I thought it was a 63. Now that does happen, certainly. It's happened to me. But it's certainly far more common that we whine rather than we complain that they overgraded a coin. Now, as a buyer, we'll often say it looks overgraded because it's in our inherent interest to try to get a better price or to negotiate. Sometimes we really believe it. Sometimes it's just a tactic. Sometimes it's, half and half. So I've been doing this for a long time now, and I'm trapped in the corporate world, working a 9 to 5, good job, good pay, benefits, health insurance. But I am, working my way towards getting into becoming a full-time coin dealer. And I think part of the success of that is to develop a reputation and a name. And I take a great deal of pride in being honest. One of the things I learned 20 some years ago, or one of the adages I really believed in, was buy the book before the coin. And nowadays, in this world of instant gratification where information is available at your fingertips 24/7 via the internet, Google, or any other number of means, people can get information very, very quickly. And it's amazing how many overnight experts the world has developed in the last decade or two decades, really. 20 years ago, yes, the internet was here, but it was still a lot harder to, buy coins. Back even before that, you had to get in your car and drive to the local coin shop or wait for your biannual coin show. Nowadays you've got numerous platforms, eBay being the most prevalent, but USA Coin Book is another. You've got numerous auction websites, whether it's Heritage, Stacks, Great Collections, David Lawrence, the list goes on. And then there's hundreds of coin dealers that have their own websites. And most of the people are honest, hardworking, legitimate, members of the ANA, members of the Numismatics Guild, etc., PCGS, NGC certified dealers. But also, because of the ease that anybody can open up an online shop or an eBay account, there are people that are a little less scrupulous and Some of them are just not that experienced or educated, and they may honestly believe in what they're selling as being problem-free and a gem. By the way, the word gem is the most overused word in the coin hobby these days. You scroll through eBay and almost everything that's mint state is gem. Gem BU, gem, everything's gem. Even coins in bank wrapped rolls where they can't see any of the middle coins, they're all gems if you ask the person that's selling it. And you zoom in on some of these with a big cut on the cheek, or clearly there's some hairlines or other problems, but everything's a gem. So I say, again, I can't stress the importance of buying the book before the coin. And, being humble. Being humble goes a long way. Nobody knows it all. Nobody learns it overnight. Nobody learns it in 5 years. It's a perpetual process. 20 years later, I'm still learning stuff every day. But 6 minutes into the video, I kind of want to, don't want this to go on for an hour. So what you're looking at here is my recent submissions to PCGS, and you'll see that the top one is a bulk order, which just shipped. Now, I was shocked. I submitted this at the end of October, and it's already being turned around, compared to these other ones at the economy level that go back all the way to August 10th, is still in the grading process. And even before that, you'll see April 26th was shipped July 12th, and before that, April 26th was shipped September 12th. Almost 5 months for that 7 coin order right there. Now, that 7 coin order that took 5 months just came back. Came back in September, shipped. I got it around the 16th of September, and this was a 7 for 7 submission. We have this beautiful 1878S with a gorgeous proof-like reverse that graded 64. I thought it had a shot 65. It was really beautiful, and I'll show you the coin in person. So, what am I looking for? What am I doing here? I bought this raw for about 80 bucks. It had just magnificent surfaces. It had a lot of luster under that toning, and you can see the rim color, but that's also got that hint of reflectivity. But the toning on it and the aged patina, if there was a proof like obverse, it's been toned over, but it's just magnificent. Far better than, you can see the cartwheel effect. Of course, those overhead lights aren't helping. But the reverse is just a killer. Fully proof-like, with just magnificent color and magnificent surfaces. So, holding the coin like this at eye level really helps, even without a loop, to look for certain things. Spotting is a big problem on silver quarters, silver half dollars, not so much Morgans. We're looking for hairlines. We're looking for a break in the color, an unnatural break. Instead of a progression, we're looking for an abrupt change, which is a sure sign of artificial toning or artificial color. This one just screamed original to me. It was in an envelope, probably forever. So a wonderful coin. The next coin is an 1879p, which is a surprisingly better date, but you can see this one also had magnificent toning. And this one came back 63, and I do agree with that grade. Now 63, a lot of people think 63 is, that's an average, not great, just average, whereas it's really not. 60, 61, 62 is average, uncirculated, heavily bag marked. Uncirculated though, right? No wear. That's what uncirculated means, no wear. Doesn't mean it's pretty or ugly, it just means no wear. So you can see there's quite a bit of striations on the cheek, but not enough to make it super distracting. It's a perfect 63 grade in my opinion. It's got wonderful luster, it's got amazing color, it's got a few too many bag marks to make it to 64, which is, back in the day they had just a few uncirculated grades. 60, which was generic or basic uncirculated. 63 was choice, 65 was gem, and 67 was superb gem. Nowadays, there's a lot more specific, you know, and like most Morgan dollars, the reverse is cleaner and nicer than the obverse. Although in this case, yes, it's cleaner in terms of bag marks and surface quality, but the color on the obverse is just superb. Far better in hand than what this is showing. So the other coins in this submission, we had this 1898-0 PL 62. We had two 82S's. They both came back 63. Oops. That one and this one. One of them is sold, and then these two sold, these two walkers. This 1920D in fine 15, and this 27S XF40 sold last week on eBay for $710. Now that's pretty crazy. This coin, if we go to Coinfax, and this is another thing that helps to know the market. I know that the walkers have been super hot lately, right? So if we go to the, you know, we can see the original mintages and so forth, a little over 2 million. So I sold a VF35 before that, so we can see the VF30. That VF35, oh, it's not updated for some reason on this particular app, but my VF35 should be on there. Sold for $355 in September. I think I need to update the app. It's on my iPad. Anyways, this XF40 at $400. I saw that the David Lawrence auction in August sold for $575, and there hadn't been another one, you know, for over a year, or just under a year, really, October. But they don't sell very often, and they've been super hot. And I actually offered this coin for $500 on Instagram, and no one bought it, so I listed it in a 10-day auction, and it sold for $710. Let's see. Oh, I don't have the eBay app here. Not handy anyways. That's all right. You can look it up. So, you know, I went 7 for 7 on that submission. And really it came down to just knowing, you know, what they're looking for. And again, trying to be selective in what you purchase. Now, what you're looking at here, as I start to, oh, this is an old AccuGrade. This was a wonderful find, actually. I got this for $200, actually off of eBay, not long ago. But I love the AccuGrade, certain ones, not all, of course, just like everything else. There's some that aren't graded properly, or some that are overgraded or cleaned, but this one had a wonderful look to it, and it didn't disappoint in hand. Now, it probably wouldn't grade 65. There's probably just a tiny bit too much chatter on the cheek. Lighting is terrible. It's probably a 64. It's got wonderful original luster. Now, I wouldn't crack it out because this, especially this old AccuGrade case with the photo in the A265C, what you're seeing there. Look at that beautiful cartwheel and beautiful toning. So on the back, this is when AccuGrade had moved from Connecticut to Florida. They started in Connecticut, so this slab is probably 1988. So here we have Strike A full, surface brilliant, which I agree with. It's not proof-like, it's not cleaned, it's not frosted. So I do agree with that. I just happen to think the grade is probably a 64. Not a 65, but in this holder, you know, to me it's worth more than to crack it out. I have a whole collection of AccuGrades. again, I don't agree with all of them. 81cc, which is one of the better CC dates. I do agree with this one being a 63. Not cleaned. See all the marks on the cheek. Could come back 62 even. You know, the camera's accentuating the problems, of course, which, you know, again, when I sell, I prefer to accentuate the problems. I'd rather a person be pleasantly surprised rather than upset when they get the coin in hand. It's got nice original luster, pretty much untoned. Of course, you're seeing some rolls, which is part of what, you know, I'm a big roll collector, as many of you may know by now. I don't really open the bank wrapped rolls. But these tube rolls, you know, I do try to keep them intact. 49 and 49D quarter roll and 51S dime roll are key dates. That 49 quarter roll is like a $1,400 roll. The 51S dime roll is about $800. 51S quarter is another good date. But, you know, the tube rolls, you know, depending upon what the roll is, you know, I could send them in for grading. In that bulk submission, I sent in a roll of 51D quarters, 54D, 54, half rolls, sorry, and then a full roll of 52 halves and 53D halves, because most of them I thought were 65 or better. The quarters I thought were 66 or better for the most part. Went through them all. This 51D roll has a lot of very, very nice coins in it. But it's a really hard date to find, and I'm very hesitant to break it up. And the 52S roll speaks for itself. You know, it's a really hard date to find full bell lines. Sorry for the bad lighting. You know, it's got some marks there in front of the nose. The cheek is clean. I know how they grade these, and even with those marks there, it's probably a 64. And then on the reverse, I think a lot of these are FBL. Let's see if I can get a little better camera shot. You know, this would probably come back 64 full bell. So the 51D roll is probably a $700, $750 roll. You know, if I get a 64 full bell lines, one coin is worth about $100. You know, there's a handful of 65s mixed in here. I'd have to go through them. But there's definitely some 65s in here. I remember looking through this roll. Those are die polish lines in front of the nose. Those are not hairlines. Die polish lines are raised lines on the die itself. So, you know, we could go through the other rolls as well. One of the things I look for when buying the Washington quarter rolls, especially if I can see it on a bank wrapped roll, is the Type B reverse from the 1956 through the 1964 P. And this roll, 1957, has the Type B reverse. It's actually a tails roll. And the Type B reverse was intended for proofs. What we're looking at, sorry for the bad pointer, is the E and the S in States of America. We're looking for separation. Let's see if I can put this down and hold it steady. get focused here, sorry. Anyways, you might have to just trust me on this because the lighting is just not great. Hard to do this using the phone. All right, above E pluribus unum, see the separation between the E and the S, the serif, the bottom right of the E, the bottom left of the S. There's about 1 millimeter of separation. And then down, above the letter A in dollar, quarter dollar, the leaf above the A is very thick and what they call high relief. If you Google type B reverse quarters, you will see the pickup points. The letter A right there, there's a leaf right above the A. Which again is, yeah, that leaf right there in the middle of the screen. Very thick, like, whereas on, it's hard to tell because the coin is dark toned. Here's the other side. Can't even get to the quarter dollar on this side. Yeah, so what would be right around here? LLA. Very dark toned. All right, there's the E and the S, see the separation. All right, so on a regular quarter, regular type A, let's see, like on this, oh, that's a 51D roll, hold on. All right, so like on this 1956 roll, if you look at the E and the S, they touch. Now I also have a whole roll of tube 1959 quarters, which are being graded right now. One second, I'll show you. So I have a whole roll of 1959 quarters that I took the best 10 and broke them into 2 submissions. These 1959 quarters are being graded right now as type B. And I do believe that they're at least a 66, all 5 of them. There are none graded 67. So, you know, to get a 67 would be just crazy. I tried to sell this roll numerous times for $1,000 and no one was interested. I even lowered the price to, I think, $700, $750. So if we look at 1959 quarters, Coinfax. Sorry for this. But if we look at the varieties, and we go to the type B, FS901, we'll get a better look here with the PCGS pictures anyways. See that separation between the E and the S? And then above the A, look at that leaf, right? So actually this one is graded MS67. There's only one, I believe. I didn't think there was any. Yeah, there's only one. That's the one. A 66 plus, there's only 4. And although the price guide's $1,100, the last one sold 4 years ago for $900. Even a 66 is $300, although they've sold softly, as you can see, very softly. But the population's only 57. These coins are just, there's no way they're under 66, and I will share once they come back. Let's look at the Type A. You saw the Type B reverse, and here's the difference. It's quite distinct. The E and the S are touching the serif. Bottom of the S, bottom of the E. And if you look at the leaf above the letter A in quarter dollar, in dollar, see how faint it is? All right, you got a visual of that. Let's go back to the Type B. See the leaf? It's painfully obvious, right, to even the most novice. Now, I've bored you for 26 and a half minutes. I wanted to let you know I have another submission going in. Before I get into that, I want to show you, I'm sending in, I think, 15 Indian cents, and they're all mint state. So I've put the submission together here. Actually, there's a couple of 1908s that are circulated, in 1864 copper nickel. All of these, you can see line 4, 1891 DDO FS101. I discovered that by accident. Here's the 1864 copper nickel that's going in. Here's a couple of 1908s. Line 6 is one of two 1902s. Get a good look at it. It's through a flip, so I apologize. It's red-brown. In my opinion, it could be brown. But I managed to get all 16 of these Mint State Indians at an auction last Monday for about $50 a coin, a little bit less. It's what we call buying it right, I suppose. I want to show you next this 1881 that I think is an FS101. Now, I'm going to show you on this device that is courtesy of my girlfriend. Robin, thank you for letting me use this device. Move some stuff, bring this a little closer, but before I get into this, I want to show you on Coinfax. So we're going to go back to Indian pennies. And we'll go to 1891. All right, so we have 1891. Some better, I won't stand up. All right, there we go. All right, 1891, we go to varieties, and I discovered this by accident, and I want your opinion if this truly is an FS101. So let's go to the red-brown. Or is it in the red? They actually show you the pickup points. It must be in the red. Let me see. Yep, see the white arrows? Okay, this is what we're looking for. Now, a lot of you are experienced and you know the difference between a double die and machine doubling. So a double die is two dies stuck together that struck the coin versus machine doubling, which is the coin was struck twice by a single die. Now, there's so many people doing these TikTok videos and other live streams where they're trying to, you know, say that they have all these errors and varieties that are not recognized errors or varieties by either PCGS, NGC, or, you know, the American Numismatics Association. There are a lot of terrific websites on the FS Fever Stanton varieties. There are websites devoted just to Washington quarters or Franklin half dollars with all the die clash that Franklin half dollar series has, all the Bugs Bunny and Booger varieties, etc., etc. Washington quarter have a ton of double die obverse and double die reverse, as well as repunch mint marks and over mint marks, etc. If the coin is not recognized, if the variety rather is not recognized by PCGS or NGC, chances are it's not a real variety, or at least it's not major enough to really be worth anything. And machine doubling is not worth anything. So please, again, folks, be careful. You know, do not let the hype influence your decisions. Learn what you're doing, learn what you're buying before you pull the trigger on these things. So in the case of this FS 101 1891 cent, we can see the key pickup points is the doubling on the O and the F of America. The rest of the coin, the doubling is hardly noticeable. You can see again, there's some on the R in Liberty, right? So those are the areas to look for this FS 101. All right, with that in mind, let's take off this 1891 penny. I'm going to zoom a little bit, and I'm going to show you. This was a nice red-brown mint state coin. Nice color, not a lot of marks. You know, I thought it would grade 63. A couple striations down under the chin and on the neck. Don't think it's any higher than 63. I don't have a lot of experience with copper. I know they're very strict with it. I know that a lot of people complain that their coins come back artificial color, questionable color, or cleaned. And again, I have very, very little experience. I don't really deal in copper, but I've made some recent copper purchases, and I'm trying to expand my own understanding and learning of within the hobby. So now I'm going to use this little device here, and we're going to zoom in on the O and the F. Now, if it doesn't exactly match what we saw on Coinfax, it's not the same. It has to, again, this is struck from one particular set of double die. It has to exactly match. All right, so we're a little out of focus, but if we look at the top of the F, we can see that, in my opinion, for what it's worth, the O, again, it's not in focus, unfortunately. I'm trying to resolve that. Now we'll try another way. Sorry. All right, see the top of the O? Top of the F. The serifs on the back side of the F and the bottom of the F. definitely there. And it definitely appears to duplicate that look. All right, that's a little better. Top of the F, bottom of the F. Well, the jury might be out whether or not they grade it that way. It's hard to tell on the R in Liberty. Can't really pick it up. And I'm not getting a good enough look under the loop. The lighting is just really terrible. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can get just a tiny bit stronger. I'm not going to get it. Well, I think it's there. It's going in Monday, and we'll let you know how it turned out. When we get it back, probably in about 3 months, we're going to send it in a regular submission level. So that's about it. This video went on significantly longer than I would have ever expected. I wanted to touch a little on these rolls, but we're up to 40 minutes. You know, we've got, I wanted to show you the difference between what I feel are original rolls versus ones that are not original. You know, a roll like this 46D roll, which is super rare in bank wrap. It's exactly what you want to see in a roll, with the toning on the end of the coin, the end of the roll rather. Toning is just spectacular. Again, the camera is just not doing it any type of justice at all. Well, this is the 47 roll actually. Still, it's a nice roll. The 46D roll is Birmingham, Alabama. Pretty rare bank. There's your toning I was talking about, and there's your D. You can see it's very glassy and just booming with luster and color. Right, so that's a, you know, this 46S roll is also a rare roll. You see the California Bank head office, Los Angeles, quite a bit on original bank wrapped rolls. 1946S. Yes, at the bottom left of the fasces there, or the torch actually in the case of a Roosevelt. That's a wonderful, wonderful roll. I showed you the 47 roll, and then we have a 46P. I've got 4 or 5 of these. And you see the paper is thick, crusty, dirty. See the fibers coming off the paper? The ink is faded. And the patina on the dime is very thick, right? Now compare that to this dime is very shiny. Looks like it was just minted. We're in a different type of paper. Typically this is, you know, a legitimate looking roll. The paper isn't quite as frayed. The ink is a little bit darker. Doesn't mean it's not genuine. It could be in different storage conditions. This one I'm on the fence with. This is more of a shotgun roll. There's no bank. It's just a paper roll that I think is more from the 60s or 70s, even though you've got heavy toning from the sulfur in the paper, and the paper is worn there. This one's probably, certainly not from 1946 or 47 when it would have been rolled. Mercury dime rolls. These ones are consistent with the paper. Look at the paper, it's so thick. It's faded. If we look at this quarter roll, it's a 1945 roll, and the paper again, super thick, falling apart. Somebody opened one end, but the integrity of the roll remains. You know, I haven't dumped all the quarters out by any stretch. Some of these $50 rolls. Federal Reserve of St. Louis. It's a 52D roll. That's a pretty rare roll. It's a 1955 roll that looks like it was originally purchased in 61 for $16.50. So even then, it was 50% over face. A little more, $6.50 over face. Hard to believe. Silver coins were still being minted and in circulation, but even then they realized the 1955 uncirculated date was a better date. Some of my favorite rolls include these 1957s. It's super tempting to break them open and send them in because, you know, a coin like this on the end is certainly full bell lines. It's flawless. The luster is incredible. The color is just insanely nice. I would say that the two end coins, you know, you can't see the other side, so it's no way to make a declaration as to what the grade is, but based on the one side of each side I see, I think they're shot 66. You know, but you could flip it over and have a gash in the cheek, right? And now you're down to 63. But the color and the luster and the toning is just ridiculously nice. Same with this 57 roll. The 57P is a significantly better date than the 57D. It was like 2 million minted versus 6 million, and just a lot less common than the 57D. This one was stamped. This is a 57D, speaking of it, from St. Louis again. Heads, but it's a St. Louis, so it's a Denver mint. And we have its twin brother with the same date stamp, October of 1957, although we have the reverse to verify it's a Denver, which only further assures me that the first one is a Denver mint. 1958 rolls, I've got about 7 or 8 of these 58Ps, and they are just absolutely tremendous, all of them. Again, I think these have shot 66. But I won't open them. And then one of my most prized rolls is this $20 roll from the American Trust of San Francisco with S mints on both ends. That, you know, I paid a lot of money, probably overpaid for this roll. Probably a 1954 S. But anyway, this video is 45 minutes. Leave your comments and tell me what you'd like to see next. I will provide the results of the grading when they come back. I wanted to get into showing you some more of these Indian cents that are going in for grading, but you know, we're certainly out of time at this point. So if you've stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we will hopefully make another video soon, and certainly we'll share the results of the grading when they come back. Have a good day, everybody.